Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Blitz and Kick podcast, where we talk all things football all the time.
With the first pick in the 2023 NFL Draft,
All right. So, what's up, brothers? Tonight we'll be doing a live NFL mock draft as we have done for the past 3 years, 4 years. What are we at now, Kyle? I think COVID was the one that you did where you were tagging people and people would pick and then you made one. And then the 3 years after that, we've done this. So unfortunately, guys, it was a little difficult for us to bring everything together and bring everybody together at the same time. So what we did is something a little different, but there are lots of people still involved, and we will still be getting things figured out. Jerry, I still need to get that flag to you. I'm glad that you're either watching or have commented or something. I do have it, I promise. I just talked to Matt about it the other day and then realized that he's out of state right now. So we will get that to you here relatively soon. Okay, well, like all mock drafts, it's got to start somewhere. Let me pull up one more thing and then I'll be ready to go. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of debate with the first one. Do you want me to just go ahead and put the team?
Yep. Let's just put up the team. Cool. And then on our Google Doc, I think we all just had the consensus of who that's going to be. And that's
so the pick is in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's Mr. Caleb Williams.
Oh.
What? Caleb Williams from USC. Listen, you and I have talked about him quite a bit ad nauseum. We both feel a little iffy about this guy, but I don't think they're going to stray away from him. Number 2 is where it gets different, right? We've talked about a number of quarterbacks for the Commanders. We've talked about trade back possibilities, but from our good friend Pat, he does have the pick, and the pick is in for number 2. And he's going for Jayden Daniels, quarterback from LSU, formerly Arizona State. Again, we've talked about Drake May here. We've talked about J.J. McCarthy here. Is Jayden Daniels too thin? Is he too tiny? Is he too small? That one really great year of production, is that too little? We've seen it with Joe Burrow, right? That one incredible year with LSU with all these weapons. He turned out pretty well. Jayden Daniels, similarly, great weapons, right? And Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors. But he has to go to the right situation. Now, the Commanders have a pretty good situation with the receivers right now. They got a couple of running backs. Offensive line is still a work in progress. The team, the organization is a work in progress. So Jayden Daniels to the commies at number 2. What do you think about this one?
So I like all the behind-the-scenes weirdness that happens because that tends to be a good indicator of how GMs are thinking about him. This is going to be a wild take here. I'm curious to see what teams think about his elbow. You seen those pictures?
I have not, no.
I feel like I'm going to sneeze, but it's not happening. I don't know if it's gone. We'll find out. Okay, so for those of you that haven't seen it, there's a picture of him throwing, and you can see that he's got this like little part on your elbow that sticks out, and it looks really disfigured and stuff. Apparently, it's really a normal thing. Nothing weird, but it looks really freaky, and I wonder if that's going to freak people out just by looking at it. And if people think that maybe he could be an injury concern down the line, again, this is really me spitballing at this point for something. But sometimes those little tiny things make a difference as to whether he'd go at 2 or 3. But I do agree with you. I think he's the best fit for the Commanders. I think he's a good scheme fit, and he immediately inherits some really good weapons on the offense.
Yeah, Jahan Dotson, obviously, Terry McLaurin. And it did sign Tyler Biadasz in free agency to go at center. But still a lot of work to be done for the Commanders along the offense. Defense-wise, too, we know how they got rid of their pass rushers, but I don't think, anywhere else besides quarterback is the answer. And I don't think you can go into the season with Marcus Mariota as your starter. So let's move on to number 3, the New England Patriots.
Oh, sorry.
And we have Phil, who is selecting for the New England Patriots, and the pick is in.
I'm going to leave it as a mystery here. I'll let you reveal it.
Yeah, and Phil went with J.J. McCarthy, quarterback from Michigan. And it really seems like trying to get a Tom Brady kind of pick. However, you can't go into the season with Jacoby Brissett as quarterback. However, again, the Patriots offense is horrid. The weapons are nowhere to be found. The offensive line is in flux. Running backs, not bad. The whole team needs a rebrand, needs a redo. They definitely need a quarterback. I just don't know if this is the smartest thing to do, to get a quarterback this early. If I were them, I would love to trade back, right? Maybe trade back and pick up some second rounders, maybe a first next year, and then, draft a receiver, draft an offensive lineman, and then draft a quarterback. J.J. McCarthy, I think, needs the right system around him. I don't know if it's New England. Do I see it happening? It's definitely possible. I think anything is on the board for the Patriots. Right, it's new coach, new GM. We don't know where they're going to go. It could be very Bill Belichick-like, but it also could be vastly different. So we don't really know. What do you think about the McCarthy to the Patriots at number 3?
It depends on what version of McCarthy you're talking about. If we're talking about the McCarthy that horribly underthrew people at the combine, that of course they won't show on TV because they only showed his good passes, or if we're talking about the McCarthy that made key throws at Michigan to lead them to a national championship, it just I think he's wildly inconsistent. I think if I'm at 3, I'd rather take something more solid, which, Drake May struggled in his last year in college too, so it's not like at this point either one of them is a home run, but I think McCarthy has potential. I just think he has to be in the right fit, and this just strikes me as another Mac Jones pick. He might have one good year, but if you don't load up around him with real talent, not Tyquan Thornton or whatever weird pick you're going to take later and think, oh, this is a godsend. No, you actually really have to invest in him and make stuff happen. And I just don't know that throwing him into the fire year 1 is a good idea. I think Brissett should be the starter come fall. Let McCarthy learn. Be smart. Don't put yourself in a bad situation.
Yeah, he can get out of some trouble, unlike Mac Jones, who didn't really have that ability. But you're right.
Mac Jones was about as mobile as a tree trunk.
Yeah, you said it, not me. But yeah, if this is the pick, and they don't surround him with weapons early, he cannot rely on the run game like he did at Michigan, right?
No.
Now, granted, they probably could have thrown more and been an effective offense with him throwing the ball more. I believe that.
But they didn't have to.
But you believe it. You didn't really see it, right? So that's kind of taking a leap of faith. And
welcome to the NFL draft.
Right. And the quarterback is kind of how you do it anyway. So, but yeah, he can't rely on the run game with the Patriots because he definitely cannot throw it to the myriad of horrid receivers that the Patriots have, or trust in his O-line. So interesting. Number 4, the Cardinals. We have Travis up at number 4, and the pick is in. sometimes teams, who are you putting there? AJ McCarron. No, it is actually Marvin Harrison. This is a double, right? This is a shot in the fairway. This is not a home run pick. This is not a swing for the fences. This is an easy double kind of pick. You don't really need to go crazy here. He's one of the best non-quarterbacks players in this draft.
And sometimes like that's okay. Take the safe pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially when you're in like the top 10, right? It's just so quarterbacks are always swing for the fences, like we talked about. Players who have little tape, a lot of questions. You don't want to take them top 10. Marvin Harrison doesn't really have any questions or concerns besides not participating in the multitude of things that happen this offseason. And that is kind of sucky. We missed out on him doing things at the combine. I'm sure coaches missed out on him doing the interview process. Like, that is unfortunate. And I'm sure they're going to talk to him about that. But his game on the field does not lie. And he's one of the best receivers in this draft. A clear-cut number one. I think he'll be one of those guys who will have, 1,000 yards like every year. I think he could be that Mike Evans kind of guy. Not the build, obviously, but just the consistency factor. I think the Cardinals can get that out of him.
Which makes sense because a lot of guys are saying Larry Fitzgerald for him.
Yeah. Number 5, the Chargers are on the clock. Ethan has this pick, and the pick is in. They're going Malik Neighbors, wide receiver from LSU. Chargers are one of the teams that you and I have talked about trading back. I can still see this happening. Again, we have no idea. This is a new regime, new coach. They need receivers. They got rid of Keenan, right? They got rid of Mike Williams. Quentin Johnson has bricks for hands. Offensive line still a little bit. We have some needs there. Running backs, we have the Gus Edwards and the injured J.K. Dobbins. So there's some needs there on offense. And you really could rectify that right away with a athletic freak, do-it-all receiver like Malik Neighbors. Get him the ball in just a variety of ways. That would be perfect. He would ball out with Justin Herbert. However, do you think it's more likely they stay at 5 and grab a receiver, or maybe trade back and get some more picks?
I think trading back and getting more picks under a new regime, fill some more holes, address some more problems. But maybe Malik Neighbors is that guy. A lot of guys have been saying that Malik Neighbors is better than Marvin Harrison in this draft. There's been a lot of debate about who the true wide receiver one is. And there's another guy that we'll talk about that could even fit that bill. But it's really been between these two. The debate that I've heard the most has been between Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors. And I don't think it's like last year where we were kind of going, okay, they're good, but they're not, holy crap, you got to draft them like immediately. Like, that was not how that class was. This class has 2 guys that could absolutely carry your franchise for years. If you can figure out how to give them the ball, if they can stay healthy, if they adjust well to your offense, and that's Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors. So
maybe even 3 with Adunze.
Yeah.
Some incredible receivers.
However, I will say, I don't love that they're not going for Blake Corum here. He's still on the board. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Just watch. I mean, I wouldn't doubt that that's in his mind. He probably wouldn't be drafted until round 3, round 4. I think the Chargers could probably draft him round 2, and nobody would bat an eye about that. Number 6 is the New York Giants. They are on the clock, and Brian has the New York Giants, and the pick is in. And he has the Giants taking Drake May, quarterback out of North Carolina. Listen, I think they would love a receiver here, but I think if Drake May falls to them, they should sprint to the podium. I don't want J.J. McCarthy, but Drake May for the Giants, yes, because he has so much athletic ability within him. He has a massive arm. That I'm not saying he's Josh Allen, but he reminds me a lot of Josh Allen. And we know Dable did some wonders with Josh. And what did Josh Allen improve on from Wyoming? His mechanics, right? His processing, his ability to read a defense. Those are all things that Drake May needs to learn how to do. And I think he could sit behind Danny Dimes for a year and then do it. I think that would be a perfect situation for him because I think Daniel Jones sucks. However, I don't know if they'll get the opportunity to do that come tomorrow night. What do you think, Drake May to the Giants at 6?
Do I think it'll happen? No. I think somebody's going to jump above the Giants at 6, probably the Vikings, probably with the Chargers to take him. But, I mean, if he does fall here, this is kind of a dream scenario for New York. Kind of get that clock to reset, figure out, give Daniel Jones one more year, trade him, or just give him the Jimmy Garoppolo deal and bench him and then cut him. Either way, you're in a good position to have your future figured out. What I don't love here is what their decisions will be after taking a quarterback, because you're right, wide receiver is an incredible need. Tight end is a huge need. Running back is a huge need. Offensive line is a huge need. That whole offense is a huge need.
Yeah.
I don't think one pick saves them. I think they're going to have to invest heavily in the next few drafts to be competitive, especially when you have the Eagles and the Cowboys both kind of dominating.
Yeah, I mean,
and the Commanders aren't in a bad spot now either. So,
and they traded a 2 for Burns, which I like. Brian Burns, it's a really great upgrade along your defensive line. But you're right. If they go quarterback here, there's probably still 3 or 4 or 5 positions on offense that they should improve. And if they take receiver here, well, everybody's pretty much in agreement that their quarterback sucks. So they have a lot of figuring out what to do for the next 5 years. Because if it's Danny Dimes, good luck. And if it's a quarterback, you better not play him right away, because I don't think that offense is ready to help him out in his early growth. Titans are up at number 7. This is an easy pick. This is Travis. Pick is in. And the pick is Joe Alt, Notre Dame, tackle. They need a tackle. They got Calvin Ridley in the offseason. They got Tony Pollard, right? They have maybe their quarterback, but Joe Alt is the consensus number 1 pick. I'm not going to spend any more time on that. I've talked about that way too much. Here
for months, actually.
Yes, for months. Here at 8 is where it gets interesting. The Falcons are on the clock, and Jay, noted Falcons fan, has his pick, his first player. The pick is in. He gave me a list, and at the top was Jared Verse. Not Dallas Turner, not Chop Robinson, not Latu. It was Jared Verse, edge from Florida State. I found that very interesting that he was at the top of his list. I could see it happening. He's a different type of edge, obviously, a bull rusher, a power guy, something that the Falcons definitely could use. But what do you think about Jared Verse going to the Falcons at number 8?
I smell something on this pick, and that smell is mistake. I do think it's a tight contest, but I feel like I'd almost take Turner or Latu over Verse. Now, if you talked to me months ago, I would have said versus the home run pick, versus the guy, versus the one you want to go after. But he's just been okay. There's nothing that I'm seeing about him that makes me go, I have to trade up to go get him. I have to do something crazy. If this is what the Falcons want to do, trade back. There are plenty of quarterback needy teams that want to get up there. At this point, But, if May slides, if McCarthy slides, 8 could be open for business, and you could still move back and get Jared Verse.
Yeah, I mean, it could be open for business for an Adunze or a tackle or a corner. You're going to see here soon, a run on certain players, and Falcons right before the Bears and the Jets. That's a prime pick for teams that want either a Brock Bowers, one of the top tackles, a corner, or a receiver. So I think they'll get a lot of offers. Number 9, it is the Chicago Bears. Brian has this pick, and the pick is in. No question about it. Roma Odunze, receiver out of Washington, pairs up with Caleb Williams and Keenan Allen and DJ Moore and Cole Kmet and DeAndre Swift. A pretty darn good stable of weapons there for Caleb Williams. Roma Odunze, do you think he will slide to number 9? I've seen a lot of mocks, the Bears trading up for Odunze to maybe like 5 of the Chargers. Do you think that could happen, or do you think they'll sit pat at number 9?
I think he'll sit pat. Like, yes, there are technically 3 wide receiver ones, but I've heard the argument that, again, Neighbors and Harrison are just that much better than Odunze. Odunze is still really good. Odunze's a workhorse. We saw it at the Combine. I think he was my favorite receiver out of everybody just for his work ethic. Like, he did not have to go out there and do anything, and he tried every single snap that he got. He was trying his absolute best, and I don't think you can teach that. So, yeah, I think the work ethic is there. I think production is there. I'm just looking at these teams. The only team I think that would be concerning to them would be the Falcons. If the Falcons decided to say, okay, we got Kirk Cousins, we've got Drake London, we've got Kyle Pitts, we've got Bijan, we're like one receiver away from dominating, they could do that. But they have bigger needs. Like, I don't see anybody that's going to go out there and say, Roma Odunze is that's our guy. We got to go get him. We got to give up everything to get him. I don't see that. I see this being teams trading back and saying, we can still get Rome at 12. We can still get Rome at 15. If the Bears decide to go Dallas Turner, or crazy enough, if they went like, I don't know. Anyways, you know my point here. Like, he could go there, or he could go late, or he could go early. He is like the wild card of the wide receivers in this draft. I feel like everybody else we've talked about, like, to certain destinations multiple times. But Odunze we've talked about all over the place.
Sure.
So,
yeah, I agree with that. Jets are on the clock at 10.
sure.
And Phil has the pick, and the pick is in. Phil has the Jets taking Olu Fashanu, tackle from Penn State. The man with small hands. Interesting here. I talked about tackles. They're going to come off the board here soon. Here's the second one after Joe Alt. Olu Fashanu, they had a chance at Brock Bowers. Odunze is gone. I think that would have been a realistic possibility for the Jets. If Odunze is gone, I really think it's between Brock Bowers and one of the best O-linemen on the board. Are you okay with Olu here, or do you think they should have gone another offensive lineman?
I'm torn. You know, I have a favorite out of the tackles they could take here. We've heard a lot of smoke show about Fuaga potentially going to the Jets, that the Jets internally really like him and like what he did with the Combine. Olu makes sense. I guess it just depends on how teams view his injury from the Combine. If they view it as something long-term and something he's going to have to rehab from for a while, I could see the Jets saying, okay, we're in win-now mode. We need to win this year. We need somebody that's going to come in and contribute right now, and they may get Fuaga. But if you want like a later piece and something that could potentially be better for a long-term build, then yeah, Fashanu makes sense. I still think they're kind of interchangeable to the Jets. I think just fill the need at this point. Either one of them fills the need and well. It's just longevity. And I honestly haven't checked up on Olu Fashanu's injury since the Combine, so he may be healthy now. Who knows? But yeah, let's take a quick look at our top 10. I'm going to scroll to 11, and we're going to go from there.
Yeah, top 10. We have Caleb Williams to the Bears, Jaden Daniels to the Commies, J.J. McCarthy to the Patriots, Marvin Harrison to the Cardinals, Malik Neighbors to the Chargers, Drake May to the Giants, Joe Alt to the Titans, Jared Verse to the Falcons, Odunze to the Bears, and Olu to the Jets. And here is a little weird. Ethan had the Vikings pick. He didn't love what he had. I think he wanted J.J. McCarthy, but he didn't last that long. So he's trading this pick to the Colts. The Colts are trading up to number 11, and the pick is in. And we have the Colts taking Brock Bowers, tight end from Georgia. I think the Colts have almost everything they need except for a tight end. I like their receivers. I like Pittman, Alec Pierce. Josh Downs is there as well. Hopefully he'll have a better second year. Offensive line is in great shape. Running back, we love the running back. Quarterback, Anthony Richardson, if he can stay healthy. However, what's missing on their offense is that tight end. And I think it could be a really nasty 1-2 punch with Richardson and Brock Bowers. I think he can block for you out on the edge. I think play action is going to be incredible with him, with AR-15 and Brock Bowers. It's just, will Brock Bowers continue to fall? I've seen many more mock drafts that think he's not as special as what we thought he was, and that he might fall further and further. What do you think is the most realistic spot for Bowers here in this draft?
Somewhere between 10 and 15. He is like, we've talked about this before, and there's been a lot of tight ends that we've seen. We've said, this is it. This is the next big guy. This is going to be the guy that just smashes it. And I've never really fully pushed into that until Brock Bowers. And the thing that sucks is tight end is, besides like Kelsey and Kittle, you can make arguments for a couple other guys, but they're not like number one options on their team. They're not, this is the guy that gets the ball and the only guy that gets the ball.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be as valued as a quarterback. He's not going to be as valued as a wide receiver. He's not going to be as valued as an offensive tackle. So it makes sense that he would fall a little bit. But you know what? The Colts have the luxury. I know they need a corner. I know we have Colts fans watching. I know I have friends that are Colts fans that are going to say to me tomorrow at work, hey, man, why Brock Bowers over like Terrion Arnold? Why couldn't we have just stayed put and took Quinyon Mitchell, Terrion Arnold? You can, but I think sometimes being a little more splashy, it's the sexy pick. For those people that like to make fun of us for saying sexy pick for things, this is a sexy pick. And the truth of it is, you and I have said this a billion times on this podcast, good tight ends always are a benefit to young quarterbacks. And, let me go back. Reliable tight ends are a good asset to young quarterbacks. And if nothing else, over his time at Georgia, Bowers has been consistent. Bowers has been a large part of that offense. Bowers has been get him the ball and try to help him make a play. And if the Colts can get their hands on that with what they're cooking up in Indy, I mean, it could be a game changer. And they kind of have to be sexy here because the Titans are threatening. The Jags are going to probably make a couple moves to be competitive because remember, until they went on that like late losing streak, they were leading the division. Like, it's not a crap division anymore. Like, you're going to have to be competitive, and sometimes risking some of your future draft capital for something that's going to be beneficial, even if it's not considered necessary, might be worth it. So for me, I think it's a slam dunk. I know people aren't going to love it, but if this is what the Colts do on draft day, I don't care what you do rounds 2 through 7. That's pretty good.
I agree. Broncos are up at 12. This is from Travis Denham. He had a number of guys on his list. The pick is in. And he's taking Talis Fuaga, the tackle/guard from Oregon State. Like I said, he had a number of guys on his list. He did not want to take a quarterback. I don't blame him. Mitchell, Arnold, guys like that were on his list too. Brock Bowers is on his list, but Fuaga's at the top, and I don't think you can go wrong with a Talis Fuaga. It is unfortunate, though, that this is the Broncos' future right now, that they have no quarterback that we can think of. Their quarterbacks are Jared Stidham, Zach Wilson, and Ben DiNucci.
Ben DiNucci.
Cortland Sutton's still there, which is good, but I heard he might have requested a trade. I like Marvin Mims. Garrett Bowles is getting older, but they still have some decent offensive linemen. But I would say interior wise, Ben Powers, Luke Wattenberg, and then like I said, Bowles. Bowles. Who knows how long he is going to be there? I think Fuaga could slide in at guard and maybe venture out to tackle after Bowles is done, or if they get rid of him, if they trade him, whatever. And even Mike McGlinchey, I don't think is the best right tackle that I've seen. I think that can be improved too. So, what do you think of them going tackle over another position?
I think it's a good pick. Mike Wazowski, you're right. He's not a good offensive lineman for them. Nothing. Okay. I do think they can go a couple other directions. I wouldn't mind, and this is kind of a luxury thing. I wouldn't mind if they went wide receiver here, just because if indeed you're right that Cortland Sutton wants out, that leaves them with Marvin Mims and what? Like you can't give either one of those three white nightmares at quarterback nothing, because then you will be right back where you were to begin with, which is sucking in that division. So I get this. This is very safe, which is fine. Safe is fine. I just said that earlier. Safe is okay. But I would almost like to see them venture for something that's a little more explosive, especially because you're facing the Chiefs, you're facing the Chargers, who are kind of in a rebuild, and you're facing the Raiders that are just like a quarterback and some like decent coaching away from actually being semi-competitive. So you're going to be team number 4 in that division. So yeah, I would do something sexier than Fuaga, but if Fuaga is the move, it's not bad.
Yeah, they're really in a really bad position before I venture on to pick number 13. Because like the Giants, right, they take a quarterback or they don't, like at least they'll still be able to field the team. Like, you know what I mean? Like the Broncos, I feel like, man, like even I guess Penix, they could get him and be okay, but anything else than that, like that's so bad. That whole offense, and even Javonte Williams, who I like, he's had a hard time staying healthy. The defense has been abysmal at times,
which is sad because Pat Surtain is awesome.
Yeah, I think they really should trade him away
to the Eagles.
Yeah, sure, why not? Let's say at his best, you're not going to have him at his best when you're competitive. You're not going to be competitive for the next 3 years. He's going to walk anyway, so why not?
Or longer. Ooh, hold on. Yeah. Wait, 3 years. Okay, let's think about that. This will be year 1. You have no quarterback. Next year, we've talked about the quarterback class. Pretty weak. And then the year after that, we don't know yet. So it could be longer than 3 years because you don't have a quarterback prospect.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
giving them 3 drafts.
Out. No, I agree, and that's why I think you're not going to get the best out of him when your window is open. So why not at least get a second or a first rounder possibly for him? Broncos fans will hate you, sure, but they're going to hate you even more if you don't get a quarterback. That's the name of the game, man.
Well, technically, Kyle, they did get a quarterback. It's just not a quality one.
It's MILF Hunter. Pick number 13. The Raiders are on the clock.
I can't believe you said that.
Phil has the Raiders, and the pick is in. And the Raiders are taking, Michael Penix Jr., quarterback out of Washington. Deion Sanders came kind of, attacking people a little bit. Like Michael Penix is really good. He only had one bad game that was against, a really great defense. So I agree there. I think Michael Penix could work in a Vikings offense. That's why I was surprised Ethan didn't take him at 11. But Michael Penix could also work with the Raiders. It's just I think they need a better offensive line and quick. He can move, he can run a little bit, but he doesn't like to. And I don't think you like to move him off his spot. I don't think he loves that. So I think you really need a good offensive line to help him, stand in there. And they also got rid of Josh Jacobs went elsewhere. So they need a quarterback. This might be a little bit of a reach. What do you think to Penix to the Raiders.
But that's the Raiders in a nutshell when they draft. They are the epitome of reaching. This makes sense to me.
Clelin Ferrell, Damon Arnett, Alex Leatherwood,
Henry Ruggs.
Henry Ruggs, maybe. I think he would have been good if he didn't, kill a woman and a dog. But I think he would have been okay. I really do. It's just that's the unfortunate part of life. Moving on. Yeah, they are notorious for reaching, and this is definitely probably a reach too. But they need a quarterback, man. Like, at least they have the balls to do it, I think, rather than the Broncos. I think the Raiders would have the balls to take Michael Penix and be somewhat decent because they have, Devontae Adams and Michael Mayer there waiting.
Here's what I hate about this pick. His comp has been a better Tua. Okay, that's not bad. But the biggest thing is, and I know he said it today, and I read it like 4 times, he's like, you put me through an MRI or whatever, it's going to tell you everything you need to know. You need EKG to see what's really in there. I'm like, all right, yeah, you got that dog in you. We got it. It's fine. I agree with that. I think you're a pretty tough kid. However, toughness doesn't mean you're not going to get hurt. Toughness doesn't mean there's not an injury history sitting behind you, kid. Like, if you get it to this pick at 13 and you get 1 or 2 years out of him, horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. So I'm just concerned. Like, if he has a better Tua, great. Stay healthy. Tua's been consistent, if nothing else, throughout his career. Not above average, not great, but consistent. And sometimes consistency is okay. And I think Penix, if Penix can at least hit consistent, you've got Devontae Adams and Michael Mayer, like you said, and probably a new running back because Zamir White can't be your starting running back. Anyways, let's move on before I get on a whole tangent of Raiders.
There's a lot of them to talk about. Saints are up at 14, and this is you.
Yeah. So the pick is in for this one. We're going to take that big old boy out of Alabama here. I think the only thing I have to say about this is in defense of me picking an Alabama player, because I know I'm going to get some crap somewhere about it. He's getting a lot of love. I think he could go a lot sooner than the Saints. I almost said Michael Penix. Trevor Penning experiment is not working out with the Saints. I think you really need to protect Derek Carr or some future or whoever the crap is back there throwing a freaking ball.
Do you need to protect Derek Carr, though? Like, do you?
No, but for future assets, because I think that was backtrack. I think it was one of the dumbest moves the Saints have ever done. Yeah. Because I hate Jameis Winston, but even he did semi-well with the Saints. Like, there was no reason to overpay for Carr. But all that to say, the Saints could take a receiver, but I don't know if that would directly benefit your investment in Carr as well as an offensive lineman would. And this is a very deep wide receiver class. You can address that later. Who's at 15?
No, I like that pick a lot because Penning, like you said, is not great. And then Ramczyk could retire at some point too. There's whispers of that. So they need tackles like crazy. Vikings are up at 15 finally.
Okay.
And that's Ethan. The pick is in.
Yep.
And he has the Vikings taking not Bo Nix, but the best edge on the board right now, arguably Dallas Turner from Alabama. Vikings need a lot of help on defense. That's no secret. But right now the quarterback is Sam Darnold, and that's bad. But you know what? If all the quarterbacks are taken like this, I could see them trading back, getting more picks, then maybe end of the first trading back up or second round, getting a Bo Nix. But they need some help along the defensive line. Daniel Hunter is gone. He went to the Texans, so pass rush is a need. What do you think of Dallas Turner going to Minnesota.
I think if you can turn 11 into 15 and still probably get the best edge rusher in the draft, you're winning. You're winning, regardless of whether you took a quarterback or not. You're winning.
Yeah. Seahawks are up
Yep.
at 16, and this is Travis, and he has the pick, and the pick is in. And he has the Seahawks taking Troy Fautanu, tackle / guard from Washington. Fautanu is 24 years old, a little bit older, but man, was he not one of the best combine players you saw when we were there?
He was really. I just, you know how you can just like look at somebody's tape and just watch their stock rise. That was Troy Fautanu. I was like, oh, you are not a second round pick, sir. You are a first round pick. Got it.
Yeah, the way that he was able to move, just incredible for that. How big he is, how fast he is, how agile he is, and he has a lot of experience too. And with the flexibility, versatility that he has, he could play on the inside at guard. They said he could play center too. He could play tackle. A massive need for Seattle, I think, really just provides a lot of juice to that offensive line. And I think that offense, if Geno can be consistent next year, that's a darn good offense, especially if that O-line stays healthy.
For sure.
That means it is me up at 17 with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm going to say the pick is in. I have the Jaguars taking the corner out of Toledo, Quinyon Mitchell. Jaguars need a lot. That's no secret again. Their free agency process, kind of crap, in my opinion. But I like the Mitch Morse addition along the offensive line. However, corner has not really been addressed. You got Tyson Campbell there, pretty good. And then Ronald Darby is your other option right now, and I don't like that. Don't like that one bit. So getting a corner like Quinyon Mitchell shores up that defense.
That's kind of wild with how deep this cornerback class is that the first one comes off at 17.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of good corners in the second and third round too, I think. I think maybe after that it falls off a little bit, but a lot of nickels in this class too. Quinyon Mitchell, I've heard, could go as high as 8, but I've seen mocks him going as low as 25. So I really don't know where he's going to land. So I put him somewhere right in the middle. That's with Jacksonville, who's in desperate need of corner. Makes a lot of sense for a team with a lot of first-round picks in the front 7. Start to build up that back, the back 4 there, the back 5. So.
It's the Bengals. This one's mine. Yes, the Bengals are up at 18, and this one should be pretty easy. The pick is in. And on the heels of a potential trade coming from Trey Hendrickson, I think it just makes sense that if you look at their defense anyways, they don't really have anything great opposite Hendrickson. And if Hendrickson is gone, then suddenly you have a glaring need on your defensive line. Latu is a great technician, good long arms, able to complete plays. I think it just makes sense for the Bengals because you're going to be facing the Massage Boy, Steelers Nation, Let's Ride, and Lamar Jackson. So you have to worry about one of 3. So, you still need to be prepared for that. But sorry. I think their defense has been their problem for a while. I think they've invested heavily on their offense the past couple of years. I think now it's time to start investing back in that defense a little bit.
Do we want to run ads quick and we'll be right back?
Yeah, let's do that. Let us hear from our sponsor.
Fresh Cuts has been one of our amazing sponsors since day one. Slide on over to Fresh Cuts, talk to Caleb, because it's not just a haircut, it's an experience. Book with him now. Mondays are his most available days, but you can hit him up anytime for a fresh cut.
Cool. Welcome back, senoras and senoritas. Just said, never mind. Don't listen to what I just said. My Spanish is lacking me right now. Anyways, the Rams are on the clock. Whose pick is that? Oh, that's yours.
Pick is in.
All right.
I have the Rams taking Byron Murphy, T tackle out of Texas. Aaron Donald's gone.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
He's gone. Hall of Fame, right? He's going to be there in a few years. D tackle is a need. Defensive end is a need too. But man, they haven't had a lot of first round picks. I think this is the first round pick that McVay is going to use. I'm pretty sure I heard that recently. So that's pretty crazy. He's not Aaron Donald. You can't compare anyone to Aaron Donald, but the type of D tackle that Byron Murphy is, I think could pair really well along that defensive line, right? I mean, if you think about it, a lot of these guys are used to playing next to someone like Aaron Donald, the type of player that he is. So I think the similar type of play for Kobe Turner and Byron Young, I think that can help for a similar type of player at D tackle. So that's why I went Byron Murphy there. That means you are up, or sorry, Donnie is up at number.
Yeah, yes, he is. And the pick is in. And he's going to finish off, what did he say? The Bulldog bookends with, help me out, Kyle. My brain's shut down.
Marius Mims.
And who they draft last year?
Broderick Jones.
Thank you. Yep. I was like, somebody who was big.
And Darnell Washington, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The state of Pennsylvania is just the University of Georgia.
Yep. Yep.
Makes
a lot of sense, though. The Steelers are notorious for taking receivers in the second round, and you could argue Brian Thomas here, and I wouldn't hate you for that. That would make a lot of sense. But, man, there's a lot of good receivers in the second round. There's not an Amarius Mims in the second round, that type of mammoth that he is. I mean, we saw him walk right in front of us. That dude is one of the largest human beings that I have seen.
It's true. He was massive. Yeah.
So, man, yeah, I mean, I would love this pick for the Steelers, really getting that offensive line right.
Before we jump to the Dolphins, let's look at 11 through 20 real quick.
Yep. Colts took Brock Bowers at 11. Broncos, Talis Fuaga. Raiders, Michael Penix. Saints, J.C. Latham. Vikings, Dallas Turner. Seahawks, Troy Fatanu. Jaguars, Quinyon Mitchell. Bengals took Liatu Latu. Rams, Byron Murphy. And the Steelers, Amarius Mims. Dolphins are up at 21, and that is Brian. This is an interesting pick from Brian. I suspected nonetheless. Brian has the pick, and the pick is in. And he has the Dolphins taking Tyler Guyton, tackle from Oklahoma. Listen, we've seen Tyler Guyton go this high and higher in other mocks. And recently we're starting to get a feel that maybe he'll go late first, maybe second. So I don't know really where his range is at. He's also a mammoth of a human being, very light on his feet, but also very, very raw, a very raw prospect. And that could fit with the Dolphins, right? Because you have Austin Jackson there who's played really well. But then the other side, you have the tackle from the Saints a few years ago, Teron Armstead, who's there with the Dolphins now. And he does not have that many years left. He thought about retiring too, I believe. So, like, the tackle position is going to be open for the Dolphins pretty soon here. So, who's
sorry?
So I this might be early for Guyton. Maybe Graham Barton could be here. I've seen him mocked this range too, but Yeah, what do you think Guyton here to the Dolphins?
I don't love Guyton, first of all. He severely underperformed at the combine for where a lot of people thought he should be. It also kind of surprises me that the Dolphins are not going interior. JPJ was still on the board. That would have made sense to me too, but you never know. Guyton could end up being just fine, but he just in person it wasn't like wow, It just felt like okay, here's another run of the mill guy. So I mean, I think he got outperformed by at least half the guys that were there, and that's saying a lot because there were a ton of offensive linemen.
Yeah.
So I think he'll get picked high anyways because he's a giant. But I don't love his skill set, but you can always work on that. So
Eagles are up at 22, and this is from Stephen. He gave me about 10 players, and this guy was the top of his list. The pick is in. And Stephen has the Eagles taking Terrion Arnold, corner from Alabama. I would jump up and down if he fell to 22. I'd be screaming to the top of my lungs, just like I did when they picked Devonta Smith. I would love a corner for the Eagles, obviously, and I would love to hang on to both of the second round picks that they have. Now I feel that tomorrow night Howie's going to trade a second rounder and move up to like 15 and then get a dumb tackle. So that's probably what's going to happen. I mean, they're not dumb. They're good players, but I would just love a corner, is what I'm trying to say.
So given the choice, you'd want Terrion over another guy that's still sitting on the board. Actually, you would take him over Cooper.
Yeah, I think I would take him. Man.
That's hard.
I think Arnold's more of a pure corner, and I think Cooper DeJean could be a Swiss Army knife, and it just depends what Vic Fangio wants. Like, if you want that Swiss Army knife and a guy you can move around and match up, and you have the confidence and the ability to do that for your players, then by all means, take Cooper DeJean. But if that's not your type of defense, then man, take the best cover corner that's there, and that's Terrion Arnold. Man, he wants to be the best. If you watch his interviews, and man, he's a dog, even though he's an elephant. He really wants to be the best. He's modeled his game after the Brian Dawkins and the Palomalus and all these other guys, Ed Reed. He just really.
And what I loved, he fed off Kool-Aid. He was like, "Cool, I'm gonna make sure if they throw in my direction, they're gonna regret it." And I was like, "That attitude is what I want for a player on my team." And you're right. He just has that dog in him. He just wants to constantly improve, and that is just a steal. No matter where you can get that, especially if the talent matches the work level.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And you know what? If he's not always on an island, then he's going to be fine. And I think that Vic Fangio defense, he's not always going to be on an island. He's going to be able to show his physicality. And one of the best things about physical corners is you look at the Chiefs, right? We talked about this before, how physical and tough their corners were and how just really that improved their entire defense. So, I would love it. Vikings are up at 23. This is Ethan again, and the pick is in. And he has the Vikings taking Cooper DeJean, who can be the Harrison Smith replacement for the Vikings. Cooper DeJean, the corner/safety out of Iowa. Again, no quarterback here, so that's interesting, but a need nevertheless, and that need is filled. What do you think of Cooper here to Minnesota?
I mean, I think it's a little silly, especially when you could draft Caitlin Clark out of Iowa, and she could just be an absolute menace at the neck. I'm sorry. Yeah, Cooper DeJean is great. I think the only reason that he falls this low is for two reasons, and one people may not want to hear. First of all, he's white. Let's just go ahead and rip that Band-Aid off right now. There's no successful white corner that has survived in the NFL that has been to a high level. And two, his injury. Like, yeah, he had a great pro day in April. I believe he ran a 4.43.
4.45, I think.
Yeah, it was somewhere in that range.
Pretty good.
It was pretty good, and it was on the same day that we had an eclipse. So I think God was trying to tell us something about Cooper DeJean. But anyways, sorry. I think he's a home run. It is a good Harrison Smith replacement, and I think if you walk away with Dallas Turner and Cooper DeJean, that's wild. You should not be able to do that. Like, yeah, I understand that you want to go get a quarterback. I understand that you would have rather had J.J. McCarthy. I understand you would have rather had Drake May. But if you walk away with two very key pieces to your defense moving forward, you make Sam Darnold's job a lot easier. So
I hated that sentence.
But it's true. But it's true. If you can keep Sam Darnold off the field and have your defense do the work, then all Sam has to do is get you down there for a touchdown or a field goal. That's all he's got to do. And that's telling, because if you miss out on a quarterback this year, it's not going to be next year. And it may not be the year after that. So
Gonna have to
as well invest in everything else.
Gonna have to see if you can bring Johnny Manziel back into the NFL. He said he wasn't retired, so he still has some eligibility left. That means the Cowboys are up at 24, and Brian has the pick, and the pick is in. And he has the Cowboys taking JPJ, center out of, not Jackson Mahomes, center out of Oregon. Listen, we talked about Biotish going to the commies, right? Tyron Smith at left tackle is gone. Zach Martin getting older. You want some depth. You want some nastiness. You want a starting center. Jackson Powers Johnson, that's your guy right there who can slide in right next to Zach Martin. That way you have Smith and Steele on both sides of the ball. Both tackles. Zach Martin, JPJ at center, really rebuilding that offensive line there.
Yeah.
Packers are up at 25, and this is Travis's last pick.
You're absolutely right, Jerry. Go Birds. Sorry. The pick is in, you said?
Yep.
I got you.
And Travis is taking Graham Barton, the tackle, guard, center, everything from Duke. Graham Barton, Travis said, pick any one of the remaining offensive linemen, and we're good to go. And he was one of the best remaining there. And Graham Barton, I've seen go as high as 16 to the Seahawks. And man, I think he's going to be a heck of a pro. The versatility is needed, especially for a team like the Packers, who are figuring out things. They have a few guys that they like that are a little younger, that need some development. They're not sure what spot to put them in, like a Zach Tom, maybe a Rasheed Walker's there too. But they really need to rebuild that offensive line. And I think Graham Barton would be an excellent start to that.
For sure. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is my pick, and the pick is in. I'll let you talk about this since this is your boy anyways.
Yeah, so Brad has the Buccaneers taking Chop Robinson, defensive end from Penn State. A guy that can knife in the backfield, slash around, very good quickness, one of the best get-offs in the draft for sure. Production, is it always there? Not really. Run stuffing, somewhat, not an issue, but we haven't seen the best of it. But he's very physical as well and can set the edge at times. The Buccaneers, I think with Yaya Diaby having a very good rookie year and then maybe Chop Robinson on the other side, that's a nasty duo that I think really kind of replenishes their pass rush.
For sure. Cards are you. You're up.
Yep. I am up for the Cards, and the pick is in. And I have the Cardinals taking George Johnny Newton, T-tackle from Illinois. I love Johnny Newton. He wrecked Penn State's day when they played Illinois. Obviously, that's not hard to do, but he did it effectively. And I think if the Cardinals were to walk away from this first round with Marvin Harrison and Johnny Newton, that would be an incredible first round for them. But it's just a great first round if they could do that. Bills are up at 28. This is from my friend Ryan Presser Palmer, who's a massive Bills fan. Shout out Ryan. And he has a pick, and the pick is in. And he has the Bills taking Brian Thomas Jr., receiver from LSU. Listen, they lost Gabe Davis. Diggs is in Houston now. They need a replacement. They need a receiver who can stretch the field, hopefully catch the ball a little bit better than what we saw at the Combine, but I think has all the tools that you want in a number one. If you can just develop some, a little bit more consistency out of his route running and his hands, but a big, tall guy. They need receiver very, very badly. And then, Kincaid can be the underneath kind of guy, as well as Shakir and maybe even Dawson Knox. So, I think people are freaking out a little bit too much about losing Diggs and Gabe Davis. But listen,
Diggs gave up halfway through the season anyways.
And he was going to give up the season no matter what. You need a deep threat. Thomas could be your deep threat. And then you need a middle of the field guy, and that's Kincaid. I think that can easily be Kincaid. I like that pick for the Bills. The Lions are up at 29. And
I threw a curveball at you because I noticed there's somebody we left off in the first round. So I made an adjustment. I'm going to leave that to you. You pick whatever, but I want to hear why.
I'm sorry. I'm just laughing at pick 32. I just saw that edit there.
Oh, you're welcome.
I think the Lions probably would be in between corners here.
Let's go ahead
Kool-Aid,
and put that there, and then I'll
Kool-Aid and Wiggins. Wiggins, I think, has the temperament to be a Lions guy. I just don't know if he can hold up physically. I mean, dude's super
skinny.
There's not many corners that small that last. There's just not. I think Kool-Aid, I think he's a tough dude, and I think he has the right mindset. So I'm not going to say he's not a Dan Campbell guy. But I guess Nate Wiggins could go round one, and he could go earlier than what I think. But I'm just going to say because of the lightweight frame, I think he's going to get held off to round two. So I'm going to say the pick is in. Lions taking Kool-Aid McKinstry, corner from Alabama. I think that's a home run pick, man. I do. They need a long-term corner there. And Lions fans are just going to love drinking the Kool-Aid. So, Dirty Birds. Who's that? Oh, the Ravens. That's your pick, Brad. You are up for the Baltimore Ravens at 30.
Yep, and I hate it, so let's just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off here. Wait, what?
Frank Crum, no matter what.
Amen.
Yep. Not in the first round, but yeah.
I wonder if I'll fall in love with him later, but as for right now, it just feels like a consolation prize. But again, we're always picking at the end of the first round, so it's not like we're ever picking some god tier guy. But Jordan Morgan's not bad. Another one of these very flexible O linemen that can kind of fit different places. I want to take receiver here. I didn't see that today that we extended Rashad Bateman for whatever stupid reason. But that's fine. It's okay. At least it's a body for Lamar to throw to, so I guess it's okay. So I hate it, but whatever. I mean, if it's not a lineman that they're in love with here, I would not be opposed to a corner. But Morgan just makes sense. It's our biggest need, especially with everybody aging out or being traded. So I don't even know what our O-line looks like at this point.
Yeah. Well, if Voorhees comes back healthy, he's going to play guard. You got Linderbaum at center, Ronnie Stanley, Ben Cleveland still at guard there, and then Daniel Falalele. I think if you get Jordan Morgan, I think he could play day one right tackle. Pass protection needs a little bit of work, but in the run game, I think he could be very good. And I think if Voorhees can get healthy, he would have been like a second round pick last year or something. So I think the Ravens probably could use some depth after that. But if they go tackle in round one, I think they're pretty much almost set along the offensive line.
Yeah.
49ers up at 31. I have the 49ers, and I'm going to say the pick is in. I'm going to go Kingsley Suamataia here. I think they really would have loved a Jordan Morgan or a Tyler Guyton, but seeing as they're both gone, I think Suamataia makes a lot of sense as a versatile tackle and guard to help out that pass protection and run game for the 49ers, a guy that they can develop and hang on to for the next 5 years. Chiefs are up at 32. This is Brad. This is the last pick. Brad, go ahead.
I know exactly what I'm doing.
Professor Charles Xavier. Yes.
Anyways, sorry, we've both been watching X-Men 97 recently, so it's kind of hard not to do that. Xavier Worthy. There's a lot of guys that could have gone here. I was hedging almost taking A.D. Mitchell here over Xavier Worthy, but I feel like the biggest thing that the Chiefs have been lacking for a long time is both hands and speed. They've either gotten hands or they've gotten speed, with MVS being a great example of this. Great speed. Hands nowhere to be found. Freaking No Hands Johnson. What's his name?
Quentin Johnson.
No. It was in the first game against the Lions, and then I blacked out his name after that because I was just so dismayed for Chiefs fans. What is his name?
Kadarius Toney?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, no hands, good speed. Rashee Rice, I don't know that he's going to play another down of football. We're going to find out.
Well, he's got speed, that's for sure.
He does have speed. So that leaves you with Kelsey and what? You've never recovered from trading Tyreek Hill.
Listen, Sky Moore is still there. All right.
Sky Moore is the biggest project I've ever seen. Inconsistent, just down the line for that whole wide receiver core. Worthy's fast. If Worthy can prove that he has hands, I'm not saying he is Tyreek Hill. Everybody chill out. That's not what I'm saying. But he could be that Tyreek Hill-esque vertical threat that they have desperately been looking to fill since Tyreek left. Because Kelsey can attack the middle of the field. But you just haven't had a consistent chuck it up there and let the guy go get it for Mahomes. You just haven't. You've had guys that can do the speed or the hands, and that's the problem. Worthy, there's a lot of questions about his hands, but the speed is there, so it's a risk. Honestly, if you want my opinion, Kyle, I think I put Worthy here because it makes sense for what they will do. What they should do is probably take Ladd McConkey. And I am not a Ladd McConkey fan until we went to the combine and I watched him in person. I was like, oh, okay. So for like a middling height white guy, you actually have route skills and decent hands. That wouldn't be bad for the Chiefs. I understand that the Chiefs would probably think, okay, we're kind of overpaying for this guy. We get him around 2. But basically 32 is the new round 2. So I don't know. But receiver is their biggest need. I guess just throw a pin at a dartboard on what receiver fits best for them. But Worthy makes sense for that Tyreek Hill-esque replacement.
For sure.
So, anyways, let's look through 21 and 32, and then we'll wrap up, guys.
Yeah, 21, Dolphins took Tyler Guyton. Eagles took Terrion Arnold. 23, Vikings take Cooper DeJean. 24, Cowboys JPJ. 25, Packers took Graham Barton. 26, Buccaneers took Chop Robinson. 27 Cardinals took Johnny Newton. 28 Bills took Brian Thomas Jr. 29 Lions took Kool-Aid McKinstry. 30 Ravens took Jordan Morgan. 31 49ers Kingsley Suamataia. And then finally 32 Chiefs took Xavier Worthy. That wraps up round one.
Yep. I don't know. We haven't done one in a long time. We haven't done a watch party for the draft in a long time. Are we doing that again this year?
I don't know. We definitely could. I will be by myself this weekend. My wife's going out of town, so I am watching the draft every freaking day. So I will definitely be here and available if we want to do that. But up to you and the.
I'll probably do what I always do: watch round one and then watch ESPN on my phone for the rest of the rounds. But we might do a watch party. Check our social media tomorrow. We might post about that. We'll give you some live reactions. We've had some fun reactions over the years to the draft. It's a fun time. We just kind of give you real-time grades, what we think, what shocked us, because there's always stuff that we don't expect. Looking at you, Jahmyr Gibbs. But yeah, thanks for hanging with us, guys. Let's see how accurate we are. Usually our average so far, I went back and looked at everything we've done from 2019 till now. We usually get on average 5 out of 32 picks correct. And usually 3 of those are in the first 5 picks. So let's see if we have a better track record. We'll see. The most you'll definitely see from us is a last mock draft from the 2 of us, 2 separate ones that we both have done with trades, giving you our final mock draft. Kyle, I counted. We actually gave out 15, tomorrow will be 16 mock drafts. We absolutely came through, brother, and told you we were going to give you more mock drafts than we did. So if you're tired of us tomorrow, great. We're going to give you one more regardless. And then check our socials. We might have a live watch party. But thanks for hanging, guys. And as always, we will see you around.
See ya.